Hello everyone, Happy New Year. January 2026, I'm super excited. Our first official swing trading full week has been a complete success. We've capitalized over 400% on ticker symbol WDC, over 350% on ticker symbol TGT, which stands for target, and we're still capitalizing on trades from 2 weeks ago, such as BA, Boeing Airlines, and then last week's swing trading pick, which was XYZ, that provided us 250%. What I'm going to cover right now, I'm going to cover what it takes to be disciplined each and every single week, going into the markets and not basing things off of desperation. Welcome to Finesse Fridays. Now the question is, did we finesse the markets? And according to this week, with our 100% win rate, we were able to finesse the markets. Now let's take a deep dive into our setups, the thought process, the mindset that is necessary to go into each and every single week with great risk to rewards, A+ setups. This is Finesse Friday. This is where we break down the trades, the mindset, and the discipline behind the results, and not just the P&L. In case you don't know, the swing trading process has been a part of the Profit Room's ecosystem way before we even created any one of our mentorship programs. We had huge success with our swing trading process, and we've been given these A+ setups week after week, and it's just been timeless. This week's finesse lesson is rather simple. The market pays traders who know how to wait, manage, and not just enter trades. None of these trades that I will go through were about just prediction. They were about structure, patience, and execution. Target, look at this upswing. This gave us over 300%. Of course, it all depends on the call options that an individual select. But for us, we like to look at things based off of our data. Based on our data and many years going through the process, we know exactly once we find these A+ setups, approximately how much time we would allow in order for it to hit a particular target. Now just understand, I'm not speaking about any leap options. I'm talking about being time specific based off of data that we have over and over and over. That's why it's best to always chart and always practice. According to our data, we can select expiration dates that are very close in time based off of the swing up movement. Therefore, it will allow us to get a higher percent return off of our investment, which is rather amazing. Now, as we look at this target chart, we can see that from the number one get-go right up until mid-November, that this chart was in a upswing. An upswing, how do we know? We can just simply base it off of a trend line. This is our trend line here, and this is what I'll do to extend. As we are putting in higher lows, that is going to constitute for our uptrend. This lovely movement up into this week, because this was based off of this Sunday's option to buy, this movement alone with yesterday's high gave us over a 300% return. A 300% return off of our investment. This one setup. This is an A1 setup. Now I'm going to take you into last week's pick, which was XYZ. Last week's pick, XYZ, based off of our higher time frame analysis, when the entry point was provided, we entered into a consolidation stage. Consolidation is simply when a trade is moving from side to side between a resistance and a support, but based off of the prior market structure, we anticipated that it will continue in the direction of the prior movement, which is to swing up. It was just a matter of when that breakout would occur. So since last week's pick did not occur within the time frame of last week for us to profit, however, those who are patient and understand risk management and understanding that allowing time for a setup to work out, the results paid within our favor. We had a great appropriate stop based off of the structure of the sideways consolidation, and we were able to realize our returns this week. As you can see, XYZ swung up on Wednesday, and it hit our initial first target range. Therefore, we're able to lock in over a 250% return based off of XYZ swing up, based off of those call options that we had from last week. Great movement in the options, wonderful. Let's get into WDC. WDC was simply an amazing bonus. Now, WDC was a trade setup based off of process. The same rules apply, the same A+ setup. The reason why it was a bonus is because once we understand what's the best high probability setup for a week, we also want to give additionals to our members so they can go in, identify charts, and create targets based off of what they see. So initially, we'll give a bull level entry point, and the target is left to their desired exit. Why is this important? Because our members within our swing trading community, they've learned how to analyze a chart. They learned how to assess risk, meaning risk management. They know exactly where to place their stop. They were given the buy point, meaning they understood that buy level. Now it's just based off of looking at what can potentially be a great exit strategy. Now, if we look at WDC, and I will zoom in on this chart, look at this bar. This bar was a huge up movement that occurred on Monday. And it looked very similar to the XYZ chart that I provided last week. Remember, XYZ was in a consolidation range. Look at WDC, similar consolidation before it broke out of that structure, and we made a great all-time new highs with WDC. If I click on this day's candle, you'll see the range from a low of 188 to a high of 221. That's a massive movement for the day on shares. Just imagine the call options that we actually had that gave us some great returns on WDC. Now let's get into Boeing. Boeing Airlines. What I did on this chart, I simply highlighted the area in which we entered into the trade specifically. And as you can see, with patience, more importantly, we're still trailing this position. We are allowing the market to do the heavy lifting for us, which is crucial. All we have to do is adjust our stop loss and let price action continue to do what price action do. Similar to Target. If we're looking at trend, if I simply take my trend line, we can see how this is in formation to swing higher. Always, we want to trade in the direction of the dominant trend, specifically if we're aiming for specific stocks. Now, this has nothing to do with the general market direction. What we pride ourselves on is being able to find opportunities regardless of what the dominant market is doing. The market can be falling and we're still able to find a stock that is trading in the opposite direction, which is up, or vice versa. The market can be going up and we are able to find a pick that is trading significantly lower. Therefore, we're able to capitalize off of it as well. Opportunities exist in the market every single day, despite what others may say. But because these opportunities exist, that doesn't mean that we're in the market every single day looking for opportunities. We're only looking for our A1 plus setups. Generally, just going through our process, these A1 plus setups, they actually show themselves to us. We don't necessarily have to try significantly hard to find them. They present themselves. They automatically set up. We understand that a lot of traders struggle with initially finding setups and understanding how to enter. And this is where I'm going to invite you to join our upcoming 5-day challenge. Our 5-day challenge, we're actually going to go through our A1 plus setups. We have several, but I really want to focus on one in particular where you can rinse and repeat this process and have amazing results week after week. This 5-day challenge starts on January 26th, which is a Monday, and it will continue until Friday, January 30th. Now, this challenge is focused around one of our A+ setups, similar to the setups that you've seen throughout this week that managed to give us 100% win rate. That means we had absolutely no losses on our swing trading setup. I also want you to remember that this challenge is not about copying trades. This challenge is all about providing you the knowledge, the how-to, as well as the insight to approach the market, understand the opportunities that exist, understand how to utilize the appropriate risk to reward ratio, how to have the appropriate risk management when you look at these classic A1 setups, and also how to be disciplined within the process. So I invite you to join us. Once again, happy Friday, and yes, we did it again. We finessed the markets.